Hillary Clinton's immigration policy, which brings in illegal immigrants and refugees to take jobs from our hardworking African American and Hispanic citizens, instead of providing free health care and jobs to millions of refugees from around the world that we have no idea even where they come from. We should rebuild our inner cities and provide jobs to struggling Americans that have been struggling for years and years.
So that on the immigration speech for tonight. Joining us now is Republican vice presidential nominee and, of course, the governor of Indiana, Mike Pence. Governor, good morning. It's good to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you.
So the reports are that there was some dissension in the ranks at the Trump campaign over whether or not this visit to Mexico to sit down with the president, who's been highly critical of the candidate, was a good idea. Did you agree from the outset, yeah, this is a good idea, and were you in on that conversation yesterday?
I couldn't be more proud that Donald Trump is demonstrating the kind of decisive leader he will be as president. We got an invitation late last week. I guess both presidential candidates of both parties received an invitation from President Peña Nieto to go to Mexico City to meet. And Donald Trump, demonstrating the kind of leader that he is, said even in the midst of a time when he's about to give a historic speech on ending illegal immigration in America, he's going to drop everything. He's going to Mexico City today, and he's going to begin a dialogue with Mexico about issues that we differ on, issues that we're going to insist that they come to the table on. But also issues of common interest. You know, the president of Mexico was elected in 2012, committing himself to take on the cartels, to deal with drugs and the whole violence around the drug trade. I think Donald Trump and President Peña Nieto today are going to talk about the issues that they agree on, but we're also going to talk about, I'm sure, begin the conversation about that wall. Our commitment to build a wall, physical barrier, the obligation that we want to see to end illegal immigration in this country. So,
you know, the reports are that there were some in the Trump camp who thought this was not a good idea, given what Donald Trump has said about Mexican citizens and given the fact that President Peña Nieto has also compared the candidate to Hitler and to Mussolini, and there's also some concerns that there could be protests as he goes into Mexico today. Here's some of what the presidential candidate has said about Mexico in the past.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. I'm going to stop heroin from coming into this country, and there are going to be big repercussions. And I'm going to get the government of Mexico and other governments to stop it, or they've got problems.
All right, so while we were talking about this morning, we just got some brand new comments from the former president, Vicente Fox, who says he is not welcome in Mexico by 130 million people. We don't like him. We don't want him. We reject his visit, he says. And I don't understand why President Peña has offered him this opportunity. I think it's nothing more than a political stunt. Your thoughts on that, Mr. Pence?
Well, I'm really glad that the current president of Mexico has a different attitude about a man who I believe will be the next president of the United States of America. But look, I think this is a great opportunity for a current world leader and a future world leader to begin to sit down and begin to establish the kind of relationship that will enable us to have a dialogue about all the issues that we're dealing with, the common issues of stopping drug trafficking, to stopping the importation of illegal drugs into this country, the human trafficking that's happening. But I also expect that Donald Trump will also make it very clear that we want to begin the process of renegotiating NAFTA and making sure trade agreements are to the benefit of the American worker. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think today is more about a relationship. I mean, what you're seeing in high relief here is not only the decisiveness of Donald Trump, but also you're seeing someone who doesn't come from a background in politics where I guess Hillary Clinton is still processing whether or not she's going to go or when she's going to go. Donald Trump gets an invitation to sit down with our neighbor to the south. He makes a decision to go, to sit down, because he understands that all negotiations begin with relationships, and that's what's going to begin today. And I expect in 69 days, when Donald Trump's elected President of the United States, these two men are going to have a better opportunity very quickly to move both of our nations forward toward law and order, ending the drug trade, and in the United States, ending the flood of illegal immigration that is harming our economy, and frankly, it has brought violence to the streets and tragedy to too many American families.
I understand your perspective on that. You know, in terms of decisiveness, and clearly, I think this is a move that will make many people say that it's presidential to go, to open the discussion, to sit down and to start talking with the Mexican president, who, as you point out rightly so, is the current sitting Mexican president, and I don't know how much credence people will give to the former president and his comments. But in terms of decisiveness, he's been criticized about his stance on immigration. Give us some insight into what we're going to hear tonight, because it sounds like he has to stick with the wall building, even if that wall takes a somewhat electronic form or a natural form in some sections of that wall. The area that it feels like he is seeing some compromise, apparently, is the 11 million, how you divide them up and where you start with those people. Give us your thoughts on what we're going to hear tonight on that.
Well, I want to let his address tonight in Arizona speak for itself. I'll be joining him at that forum, Martha. But I think you should get ready for more of the same principles that Donald Trump put the issue of illegal immigration at the very center of the national debate now more than a year ago are going to be articulated again today. He's going to lay out a firm commitment to border security, to internal enforcement, to ending sanctuary cities. And I think what's interesting about this meeting with the president of Mexico today is that we have a saying in Indiana that good fences make good neighbors. And so making sure that we have a wall, making sure that we have a secure border is actually the beginning of a more honest and more successful relationship with our neighbor to the south. But I think your viewers should anticipate tonight a strong speech, a speech that is committed to ending illegal immigration. You'll hear Donald Trump make it very clear that we're going to prioritize getting people out of this country who have, in addition to being here illegally, have violated our laws. Right. We're going to get them out quickly. But with regard to the process itself, there'll be no pathway to legalization, no pathway to citizenship. People will need to, as he said many times, get in line, leave the country to do that.
Learning English. So all of those people who, as you say, if the only crime they've committed is to be here illegally, will they be able to stay, or will they all 11 million, have to go back and gain re-entry?
I think Donald Trump's made it very clear there will be no pathway to citizenship, no pathway to legalization. People are going to have to leave the country to get in line like everybody else. And here's the thing, I know the focus here on this issue, and I respect that. It's a fair question. But when I talk to Donald Trump, and we talk just about every day, his focus is on the American people. His focus is on families in this country, in Ohio and in Indiana and North Carolina
I think when everybody talks, pardon me for interrupting, but I do want to get your thoughts on this. And they know that illegal immigration has been suppressing wages and costing jobs. Understood. I think you'll find agreement across the country that criminals, the kind of people who killed Kate Steinle, those people should never, ever be in this country. It's the people who many here have relationships with, who they've been here for a long time, who have children here, who haven't committed any crimes. Those are the people that are at the center of this, and those are the people that, perhaps Republicans need, definitely need, their relatives, certainly, to vote for you and for Mr. Trump. So what are they going to get out of this speech tonight? Are they going to get a hand extended to them in any way that might make them more comfortable voting for the two of you?
Well, I think you've seen Donald Trump over the last few weeks reaching out with real compassion and real humanity to minority communities in this country, and that's going to continue through the speech tonight and in his visit to Detroit later this week when he meets with African American leaders. But make no mistake about it, whatever we do going forward, will be done humanely. We'll do it with the compassion of the American people, but the principles underpinning this, ending illegal immigration, upholding the rule of law and the Constitution, I can tell you, Martha, those are going to be unchanged, and that's what the American people, including Americans in the Latino community and the Hispanic community and every community in this country, want to see. We know that illegal immigration has cost jobs. It's resulted in lower wages for Americans, and too often, as Fox has reported very clearly, and I think it'll be in evidence tonight, it's brought violence to our streets and brought tragedy to American families.
And as I said, I think you'll find very widespread agreement on that part of the equation. But as you well know, there are a lot of white women voters in the suburbs of this country who have lost, have lost confidence in the candidate because perhaps they went some of the way there. They are people that no doubt are watching this speech tonight closely. They're watching the Detroit visit next week, who are looking for a measure of confidence in the candidate and in you. That is an unusual outreach. What we're going to see in Detroit, what we're seeing perhaps tonight, he has to thread the needle with those voters, and you've been in North Carolina trying to do that as well. How are you going to succeed with those voters?
Well, I think we're going to continue to speak about the priorities in this country, which are security and prosperity and the Supreme Court and having the highest ethics of integrity in the highest office in the land. And Donald Trump is going to speak from his mind tonight. He's going to lay out that plan to end illegal immigration, be a nation with a strong and secure border with a wall. We're going to end sanctuary cities. We're going to have an E-Verify system. But I'm very confident that you're also going to hear the compassion that Donald Trump has for families in this country, the deep compassion he has for Latino and Hispanic and African American families who too often have themselves, along with other Americans, been paying the price of illegal immigration in this country, both in lost jobs, opportunities, lower wages, and too often heartbreaking violence that's cost American lives. I think the American people want to see a leader who will take a strong stand, stop. You know, we've been talking for 25 years about dealing with illegal immigration. Donald Trump has made it clear he's going to make a priority of our administration. We're going to move our nation forward. We're going to end the flood of illegal immigration. And we're also going to reflect the compassion and the humanity of the American people when we get that done.
It's going to be a very interesting day between this historic Mexico visit and this historic speech that you talk about tonight. Governor Pence, thank you very much for being with us. We'll see you soon, we hope.
Thank you, Martha.